Hi everyone, I'm Lorenzo Nava, and I'm speaking to you on behalf of Rescogita, the startup grounded on eco-psychology. And I'm gonna start today's third episode with a question. Are you an adult? Do you know what being an adult means? I'm sure you think you do. And maybe you will change your mind after our short journey into Kegan's theory in adulthood. Or maybe your mind will remain the same. There's only one way to find out. And see you in a few minutes. Adult Development Theory. Robert Kegan. Let's start with who is Robert Kegan. Developmental psychologist from the US. And he's the author of The Evolving Self. Imagine, back in 1982, exploring human life problems from the point of view of meaning making sense of experience through discovering and resolving problems. Thus, it is not that a person makes meaning as much as that activity of being a person is the activity of meaning making, he tells us. The purpose is to give learners, educators, learning and support professionals a developmental framework to empathize with ways to make sense of problems. So, meaning making. Meaning making is a lifelong activity. It starts in childhood and develops in complexity, establishing a balance between ourselves and others, or subject and object, or organism and environment. And this is called evolutionary balance. Each evolutionary balance is both an achievement and an obstruction to meaning making. That means it has both strengths and limitations, pluses and minuses. And the evolution of meaning making is a life history of cultures of embeddedness, described in three processes: confirmation, so holding on; contradiction, letting go; and continuity, stay put, for reintegration. And cultures of embeddedness as inclusivity of the meanings we make of our experiences and learning, holding on to meaning, letting them go, analyze what something means to us and keeping it there until we are ready to reintegrate that meaning. So, let's make peace. Let's negotiate a truce. Some of the psychological distress that people experience, and that includes some depressions and anxieties, actually result from the natural emergencies that happen when the terms of our evolutionary truce must be renegotiated, and the new culture of embeddedness, of inclusivity emerges. We constantly go through experiences, conscious or unconscious, it doesn't matter. And every time a process of meaning making begins, and it is natural that sometimes conflict arises between potential different meanings and are given to present or past learnings. Something we experience today can change the meaning of something we learned in the past. Or a present learning or event can have multiple meanings. A peace happens by negotiating a peace treaty with yourself. Adulthood has the theory, it's called the theory of adulthood, adult development. And this theory says, have you ever wondered what it means to be an adult? How should we perceive and engage with the world? How to handle conflict and interact with people around us? Likely, yes, at some point in your life. So what meaning do we give to adulthood? What is the meaning and purpose of our engagement with the world, and how do we perceive it? What is the meaning and purpose of our interaction with our communities and other people? and its purpose. It's about becoming an adult. Becoming an adult means transitioning to higher stages of development, developing an independent sense of self, and gain the traits of wisdom and social maturity, becoming more self-aware and in control of your behavior, as well as aware of our relationships and social influences that affect us, and better at managing them. Most of us, around 65% of the population, never become high-functioning adults. According to the scale, which we'll explore very shortly, we never make it past stage 3 out of 5 stages. So lacking an independent sense of self, because so much of what we think, believe, and feel depends on how we think others experience us. So there are these 5 stages of development. Most of us are somewhere in between, transitioning between the stages. Before we go into the theory, we need to understand 2 key concepts first. Transformation. Actually, it's about, many of us believe that being an adult means getting better at what we do. So we get more skills, more knowledge. Transformation. Changing the way we know and understand the world and our filters that make the meaning. It's only through transformation that we can transition to higher stages of development. And this is also why personal tragedies can be such a channel and opportunity for personal growth. The second one is subject-object shift. Transitioning to higher stages needs this subject and object shift, moving what we know from subject, where it is controlling us, to object, where we can control it. The more of our lives we take as object, the more clearly we can see the world, ourselves, and the people in it. So the subject, I am, self-concepts we are attached to, so we cannot reflect on or take an objective look at, including personality traits, assumptions about the way the world works, behaviors, emotions, and so on. Object, I have. Self-concepts that we can detach ourselves from, that we can look at, reflect upon, engage, control, and connect to something else. Suffering. Suffering comes from over-identifying with our thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and so on. The solution? Detachment. Be careful. Detachment does not mean indifference. It is viewing these things objectively. I am not my feelings, emotions, my past, my beliefs. I have feelings. I have beliefs. I have emotions. I have a past. So, now we're ready to go into the stages. Stage 1, impulsive mind. And here we're talking about early childhood. Stage 2, Imperial Mind. We're talking about teenagers, and not only, around 6% of the adult population. Stage 3, the Socialized Mind. About 58% of the adult population, so that's about like most of us. Stage 4, Self-Authoring Mind. 35% of the adult population. Stage 5, Self-Transforming Mind. That's just 1% of the whole population, adult population. So, adult development. Most of the times we're in transition between stages, or it could behave at different stages with different people. For example, we could be a stage 3 with a partner, a stage 4 with our co-workers. The goal is to understand in which stage we are, when and with whom. Only then we can really work to change our perspectives, thoughts, feelings, and actions. Notice, as you transition to new stages, what was once subject now becomes object. So we'll skip childhood and go straight for stage 2, the Imperial Mind, as quite a few adults are there, and I'm sure we know quite a few. So, stage 2. Indeed, many adults don't get past this stage. The subject here is needs, interests, and desires. The object has impulses, feelings, and perceptions. In stage 2, the emphasis is on your own needs, interests, and the agenda is primary. Stage 3, Socialized Mind. That's where most of us are. The subject is interpersonal relationships, mutuality, and the object has needs, interests, and desires. In stage 3, external resources shape our sense of self and understanding of the world. Stage 3. Let's pause here a little bit, since the majority of us are here, and that means the majority of you watching this video. So in stage 2, the most important things were our personal needs and interests. In stage 3, the most important things are the ideas, norms, and beliefs of the people and systems around us. For example, family, society, ideology, culture. And there comes stage 4, the self-authoring mind. That's about 35% of us. The subject is self-authorship, identity, and ideology. The object has relationships and mutuality. In stage 4, we can define who we are and not be defined by other people, our relationships, or the environment. And then we come to stage 5, the interconnected mind. The subject is, that's it, the subject is, and the object has self-authorship, identity, and ideology. And just 1% of adults are here. In stage 5, your sense of self is not tied to a particular identity or role, but it's constantly created through the exploration of your identity and role, and further sharpened through the interactions with others. So, how does the moving between stages happen? So now that we reviewed all these stages, which stage do you think you're at? And where would you like to be? By the way, we all believe we are in a higher stage than we actually are. So pay close attention to how you behave across contexts and with different people. The path to higher stages is not linear. It is complex, and there is a lot of back and forth. Each stage describes an ideal outcome. Actually, no individual fits all the aspects of this description. Rather, these stages serve as a roadmap, as a way for us to orient ourselves about how we currently experience reality. Self-authorship. So let's return a second here. Self-authorship is about defining and reshaping what you believe, your senses of self, intrapersonal, and your relationship with others, interpersonal, rather than uncritically accepting them from other people. And all three dimensions are critical for the constructions of a self-authored system: belief, intrapersonal, interpersonal. How and what do I know? Your beliefs. Generating and coordinating your own beliefs, values, and internal loyalties, not depending on external influences to shape your thoughts. Who am I? Intrapersonal. Being concerned with personal integrity, aligning actions with values. And how do I want to build relationships with others? Interpersonal. Thinking about feelings and relationships instead of being subject to them. What we need is clarity. Clarity about who we are, what we think, what we want, and why. We listen to our internal voice by moving our energy from worrying about what others think, about us and everything else, to choosing what we think. We have been mixing up our thoughts with other people's thoughts for most of our adult life. To start operating from stage 4, self-authorship, practice being curious about ourselves by asking yourselves questions. Question 1. What do I think? The first aspect of self-authorship is a methodological analysis. For example, examining your beliefs, thoughts, and values. And let's be honest, most of us don't really know what we believe, think, and value. What do I think a relationship should look like, and why? How do I know that somebody is a good friend? What is my policy on honesty, and why? What do I want? The second question. This is about the intrapersonal and interpersonal dimensions of self-authorship. Operating from self-authorship means to define what we want and clearly communicating those wants to the people we care about. In order to reach self-authorship, we need to practice operating from the place of what do I want versus what do other people want from me. What are my motivations? This third question. In order to get real about what you want, you need to understand your motivations. We all have higher and lower motivations, which are also called good reasons and real reasons. The higher motivations, the good reasons, come from our higher selves. Our higher selves are the person that we want to be, or the person we imagine ourselves to be. The lower motivations, the real reasons, they come from our lower selves, driven by guilt, desire, ego, uncertainty, etc. Now, which one do you want to drive you more? And why? What kind of person do you want to be? Building a self-authored system is about honoring our internal commitments. And now it is time to live according to this system, to let this internal foundation guide your actions. And this is done by honoring your internal commitments. How do I honor my internal commitments? By making decisions which are aligned with our wants and values, which we probably just clarified by now, right? Every decision we make is an opportunity to get us closer to what we want, to bring us closer to expressing our authentic selves. The path to what you want is paved with small decisions. The best way to get better at knowing what we want is, like everything, practice. When was the last time you decided the person that you want to be and followed through with concrete actions? It felt good, right? So start paying attention to the small decisions you make every day. The goal is to raise awareness and to live more intentionally. So, if you want to get deeper into Kegan's theory, our advice is to read his book, The Evolving Self, Problem and Process in Human Development. It's really a fantastic read. And you can also go online to medium.com and look up the article of Natalie Morad on How to Be an Adult, Kegan's theory of adult development, which inspired a large part of this video, to be completely honest. So, this ends our web tutorial and begins your path to reality. And hopefully your path will bring you to follow us on www.rescogita.academy. Thank you. Are you? Are you an adult? At which stage do you think you got? Well, he did say that we are all actually one stage lower than where we actually are. However, the journey looks exciting. So, if you want to share with us your journey to adulthood, feel free to find us. I mean, we are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn. You can find us on our blog. We'll be just more than happy to hear your stories, to hear your opinions, new awareness, new learnings, and perhaps also some contributions from your side. So, until our next episode, please do take very good care of yourself. Thank you, and goodbye.